I'm going to introduce the donors for the chair, designated, and general scholarships. In 2020, we supported 51 recipients receiving $91,000 in scholarships. The chair scholarship started in 1992 with $10,000, and in 2011 it increased to $25,000. Currently, we have 32 chair scholarship donors: Dr. Moon Chol Han, Ms. Pang Shil An, Shinjung Presbyterian Church, Mrs. Suim Kim, Dr. and Mrs. Younggun Kim, Ms. Eungyung Oh and Ms. Taewon Lee, Mr. and Mrs. Dungjae Lee, Dr. and Mrs. Jaehyun Kim, Ms. K. Kim, Dr. and Mrs. Ki-jo Kim, Dr. and Mrs. Byung-gun Chang, Korean Churches Council of Atlanta, Dr. and Mrs. Ubek Choi, Mr. and Mrs. Jung-sik Cho, Dr. and Mrs. Ye-sun Kim, Professor and Mrs. Hung-won Jeon, Christ Methodist Church, the Jungkook-un family, Stephen Moon, Dr. and Mrs. Youngjin Lee, Dr. and Mrs. David and Jane Chu, Mrs. Soon-dong Lee Ho, Paul, the Jun family, Mr. and Mrs. Ha-kun and Youngja Chang's Daniel Scholarship. This year, we have 3 new chair scholarship donors. Mr. and Mrs. Bong Hyun-yo donated to the chair scholarship in 2019. Their 2 daughters were recipients of the KASF scholarship in 1998. They officially gave support to KASF when they had a hard time. Mr. Yo mentioned it's very important to cultivate the next generation of Korean students. They are looking forward to involving their children in KASF. In 2020, we have a new chair scholarship donation from Eric Nam. He's a very famous entertainer in Korea, born in Atlanta. He wants to support the second-generation Korean Americans in all areas. Also, Mr. and Mrs. Jason Park generously supported the chair scholarship this year. Mr. Jason Park is an acting lawyer in Atlanta. He wants to support the education of young Korean Americans so they can become leaders in their field. I will continue with our designated scholarship donors. There were 39 donors who support with a $1,000 donation. Dr. David Chu and Mrs. Jane Chu, Dr. Pok Kim and Dr. Hooja Kim, Mr. John Shim, Mr. Jungkook Un and Mrs. Jungsuk Un, Dr. Lindsay Kim and her mother Moon-hee Kim, Dr. Youngjun Kim and Dr. Michelle Kim, Mrs. Hwa-shi Park, Dr. Song-shu Shim and Dr. Young-rae Shim, Dr. Stanley Shin and Mrs. Myung-mi Shin, SMP Natra, Mr. Min-hwan Oh and Mrs. Elena Chong, Dr. Yoon-jae Lee and Mrs. Lee, Mr. Ha-kun Chang and Mrs. Youngja Chang, Yihua Women's University alumni, First IC Bank, Mr. Jun Sang Ham and Dr. Mi Kyung Ham, KCPC, Mr. Duk Sam Kil and Mrs. Young-hae Kil, Mr. Nak Jun Kim and Mrs. Isabel Yeonuk Kim, Dr. Edmund Kim and Dr. Son Young Kim, Dr. Hapne Kim and Mrs. Shehwa Kim, Miss Miran Kim, Mr. Sa-in Kim and Mrs. Sunny Yo, Dr. Paul Kim and Dr. Hwa-jin Kim, Dr. Jeannie Lee and his mother Wonok Lee, Dr. Jin Kyung Lee and her mother Song-hae Lee, Dr. Youngjin Lee and Mrs. Myung-ok Lee, Metro City Bank, Mrs. Kae-suk Nam and Mr. Pong-jin Nam, Mr. Yoo-jae Oh, Mr. Hyun Park and Mrs. Kyung-gu Park, Dr. Jun-myung Park and Dr. Chong Ja-hong, Mr. Son-gun Park, Seoul National University alumni, SKC Inc., Sukmyung Girls High School alumni, Mr. Sang Hee-sol and Mrs. Chung Won-sol, Mr. Choi Pom-yu and Mrs. Kwon Hwa-yu, Mr. Sang Bong-yu and Mrs. Yu. We also have 20 general scholarship donors who give under $1,000. Mr. Eun-sok Ro, Mr. Ha-soon Lee, Mr. Pyeong-guk Hwang, Mr. Han-ang Lim, Mr. Hwa-am Lee, Mr. Tae-gi Oh, Dr. Chong-un Park, Mr. Young-so Kim, Mr. Chae-du Pa, Mr. Pyeong-woo Oh, Mr. Kyung-chol Lee, Dr. Chang-sok Kang. Promise One Bank and Ewha Women's High School alumni. And we have 6 ladies and gentlemen. Finally, I want to extend a special thanks to the Chu Family Foundation, founded by Dr. David Chu and Mrs. Jane Chu. The Chu Family Foundation has supported the AKWV's Descendants Scholarship since 2014. On behalf of the KASFSRC, I want to express my deepest appreciation for your unlimited and devoted support. Thank you to all donors.